And right now, let me turn it over to John Tomaszewski, who loves his toys and I'm sure has thoughts to share with us as how things have changed over the last year as far as cutting the cable goes. John.
Okay, so cutting the cord, again, we'll start with from my first one, Bruce Springsteen, 57 channels and there's nothing on. And it seems like that's what the cable companies offer you, a lot of channels that you don't want or don't care about. And the 5 or 6 that you'd like, of course, you can't get. But what happened was the last time I gave the talk, I was definitely afraid to get rid of the TV because there was some stuff that I liked. And after a lot of debating in late December, I decided to cut the cord. And now I've only got the internet. So, okay, just a little bit of history. I think we can all go back to our first TV. I remember when my mother brought it in, I must have been only about 3 or 4. And I kept asking, what's the box? What's the box? Because it was the old furniture type that you had to open up to see the TV. You had to change the channels manually. And if you wanted to watch, there were only 4 channels. We were lucky because we had, I lived in Detroit, so we got the Canadian station. And back then, if you wanted to watch the 6 o'clock news, you watched the 6 o'clock news at 6 o'clock. Color wasn't around yet. Rushing home to see the Sunday night movie. The only thing you had was antenna reception, which I can remember since we had only the antenna in the house, we'd fight over who was going to hold the antenna in the right direction to see something. Now, a lot of that's being offered is because of this case of Universal Studios, Inc., which is also known as the Hbo Max test, which the Supreme Court decided that you can, if you get the ability to see something, you can time frame it and see it at a different time. So these are the things to consider. Number one, probably the best one is if you don't want to pay anything for the services, you get an antenna, and in most cases they do pretty good. And I'll show you how to show you a device that you can attach if you want to record off of that antenna. Finding programs is definitely going to be more difficult. It took me quite a while to find some of my favorite programs like 60 Minutes and some of the other programs, because what happens is they're all on different services, so they're not all in one place. You can't go to one guide and find everything that's on. You have to go to several guides. The other thing that bothers me about cutting the cord was since I'm subscribing to several different services such as HBO and Hulu and stuff, each one has their own accounting. So you're paying money in all kinds of different places. And since I like to keep an eye on when things go up, it's kind of difficult to just have one when you used to just get one bill, although I'm going to show you that's not very easy either. There are some programs which I think they have deals with the cable companies and they're just not available. My girlfriend liked Rachel Maddow, and I kept asking her, we probably won't be able to get Rachel Maddow, and she said, oh, that's all right. And then she went away for a week, and that's when I cut the cord. She came back and says, what do you mean I'm not getting Rachel? Streaming is the available to record when you're streaming, which is you're going to be doing, is rather than watching most of it live, although you can do both. Recording is not possible, although some streaming services that stream offer recording in a cloud at a cost, but the ability to fast forward, even though you have that through commercials is restricted. And that's one of the things that I really miss. I had a TiVo and I could just cut through all of the commercials. So it was so nice not to listen to between 10 and 15 minutes of commercials watching a program. The nice thing about it is you can watch whatever service you have almost anywhere. Like I have it in my house. We also have it in our cabin of Massachusetts, and you don't pay twice for it. You just log on, and if you're in the gym or on the road, you can someplace on vacation, you can just dial in to the various services and watch it on your iPad or your whatever iPhone. So a lot of content on paid services are serials. That's the good news is it's good news and bad news of binge watching. If you are on one of these services and you decide to switch it, you might lose your serials, which is one of the reasons they keep you on a serial type of thing, to make sure that you keep coming back and keep paying whatever the cost is. The bad news is that you can get caught in watch 5 or 6 episodes at a time, and that happens a lot. There's price switching and the paid services. So you got to watch them because they switch prices on you, which I'll show you my example later. And the ability to watch different channels. So the main reason why I switched was here's my Verizon bill. It was $115.31. And what I found was that I had thought that because back before then, several times, you'd always negotiate with them and you get the price down by cutting out things. And sometimes they'd give you some kind of discount for one reason or another. And then you were tied into that for usually 2 years or at least 1 year. And so the last time I went through this process and got them down to the $115, the next thing I know, within 2 months, they raised it to $123. So I called them up and asked them about it. And she says, well, we no longer have yearly contracts because our customers didn't want them. Now, I don't know what customer wouldn't want to be frozen into a period of time at a cost that they think is fair. And I said, so that means you can raise the price anytime you want? And she said, yes. And that's when I decided to cut the cable. Now, the only reason I'm adding that is because I did have the TiVo, which basically cost me $414, so a little cheaper than that. And I did my recording on that, which was nice. Oh, and at the bottom, you'll see I also have 2 DVDs that I get from Netflix. So that cost me $20 a month, but that doesn't really change things. So I negotiated with Optimum, and I got basically I'll show you later what the prices were, but it was $28 for the internet, and that was at 300 baud. And when I figured out the savings from Verizon was $65 a month, or $768 an annual savings. So I included in that Optimum some of the services that I decided to go on. So it would even be cheaper than that if I only took free services. So here's my monthly cost. Now, the one thing I want to tell you is they're always going to tell both Verizon and Optimum, the two that I've used, they push the paperless bill discount of $10. Now, there's a couple of reasons why they do that. And one, I'm sure, is postage. But I actually think that they don't want you to see your bill. And as I found out with Optimum, when I tried to see what my bill is, and I'm still not exactly sure what I'm paying per month, it's so that they can add any charge they want on it, and unless unless you pay attention to it, it's going to go up. And I'd say 50% of the time, you won't even notice it went up because it's $1 or $5, and you're just not paying attention. So I'm paying basically $40 for 300 megabytes internet, and it is optical. And then I'm paying $16 for Netflix right now. I'm paying $2. I don't know why I've got in there twice. $2 for Paramount. I guess I forgot to put that in. For 3 months, they're giving me a deal. $2 for Hulu, which is a lot more, for 1 year. Why they did that, I don't know, but it was such a deal. And as you're going to find as I go through some of the other slides, they're all offering deals at one time or another. And that's why I plan to switch back and forth. My idea is to watch as many movies and serials and whatever else they're offering. And then when I see everything, switch to a different one after a month or two, and just keep switching them until they get new programs. So my other entertainment costs, again, I said $16 for Blu-ray. I get Spotify for $10, which also can come over the internet. And the one thing I should mention is by signing with Optimum, and I did get it, my $200 Visa card after 3 months, and after 3 months of being attached to them, and they also gave me 3 months of HBO Plus for free, which is I think about $16. Now, so as you'll see by the price, I'm looking at it. And I'm looking at my cable, and the Optimum for 300 is $109.99. And they're giving me an internet credit for 75 cents. They're also giving me a promotional credit, which I believe, I'm not even sure what that is. And, but it added up to the $28 that it is. So I gave them a call, and I've got that. And it's basically $30 for the first year. Then it goes up by $10 after a year. And after that, every 8 months, they're going to increase it by another $30 until they get to that $109 for 300 baud. And you'll notice that all of these things that you don't even sign, but you agree to, the pricing terms and offers subject to change and discounts without notice. Now, how anybody can get away with that, I don't know. It's not right. So the first thing, I was going to just talk real quickly about antennas. And I'm not a good person to talk about antennas because I live between the Watchung Mountains. But to my surprise, I bought this antenna with an amplifier, and I didn't expect it to work. I just put it in the window of my study. And to my surprise, after I hit the button that goes through and finds all the available stations, I got 2 stations, which I think both are from Philadelphia because they're from the opposite direction and there isn't a mountain there. And also the reception was excellent. I was very surprised. I thought it would be a little spotty or broken up, but it did come in good. What I'm planning to do is when it warms up a little bit is first try it in the attic and see how that does. And then if that doesn't work, I'll crawl up on the roof and attach it to my chimney and see how that does. But there's all kinds of things to help you. The one that, as you'll notice on the top here, it's called antennaweb.com. They give you the results for almost every location as to how many TV stations you can get just using a antenna. And again, here's my problem. If you do have an antenna, you'll also be affected by rain, trees, and mountains. And as you can see, most of the antennas are in Manhattan, and the mountain range is between me and the antennas. So this, as you'll notice, the green line tells you what and what stations you should be able to pick up for your location. And if you read, the green is antenna, it can be in the house. If it's yellow, it's in the attic. If it's roof mounted, and then you'll also have the gray, which is that you won't be able to get them. And as you'll notice, it pretty much agreed with it. I get 2 stations, and that hit the little bit of the green. So I'm excited to see if putting it on the roof might help. And there's another one. This is all produced by tvfool.com. And they give you all of these different, all kinds of information when you on antennas and so if you want to find out more about that, you can go there and do. So there, if as far as cable TV, if you want to see what's available, if you just want to drop yours and look at the other one, this one cable TV site, which is, I believe, cabletv.com. If you put your zip code in there, it'll show you the approximate prices and of the different services that are available. So you don't have to go with Verizon or Optimum's TV service. You can get one of these other ones, which I'll show you some of those in a bit. So here's the one that I've got not suckered into. Here's the one that I decided to get, the 300 megabytes for $29. And with that, they included a $200 prepaid gift card, HBO Max, a free I like this, a free Wi-Fi extender, which I found out they wanted to charge me $3 a month for. Now, how that is free, I don't know, but I guess it was free because it didn't cost me to get it. And I, of course, took that back and have that deducted from my bill. They did give you free installation, and if you get their telephone service, which I don't think is that great, they give you $5 a month off. This thing on the right is if you want to use their TV service, it's $65, and that cost is for 11 months. Not, and then they're going to raise that price, and they will give you $100 Visa prepaid card. So now here's something that I found interesting. Here is the actual prices of the Optic lines, and they don't even offer 100. But as you'll notice, mine is $109, and it goes all the way up to the 1 gigabyte, which they're advertising, I think, was $49. That goes up to $150 almost. And but then you can get the phone service, which I just want to talk about really quick, because a lot of people ask me about my phone service, which I think is probably the best. They want to charge you $34 a month plus additional charges for other things, for home wiring, and for $14 for each phone. But as you'll notice by looking at this, there is just all kinds of different services you can get from Optimum directly. And I'm not going to go through any of them because there's just too many. So here's my solution for the phone. I'll just go through this quickly. I know it's not part of it, but I love this thing. Right now, it's $43 a year, and I believe for that price, they actually give you this thing in the middle, the Magic Jack thing, which one end goes into your wall, the other end connects to your modem and your phone. Now, what's nice about this is that I used to get probably, I'm guessing, at least one or up to 1 or 3 marketing calls a day. Getting this, if you call me, it's going to say, please dial the numeral 5 to talk to the recipient. And what that does is, when I was going from 1 to 3 calls per day, it broke it down to 0. I haven't gotten a call since almost a year ago when I put this service in there. No marketing calls, period. And the only thing I want to warn you about is if you're going to do this and you want to keep your old number, make sure you call them first and let them know that you want to do this. And then they do what you have to call your Verizon or whoever you have now. And it's the thing that you have to realize is the courts decided that your phone number is your phone number. The company that you got it from does not own that phone number. So you can transfer that number, which I did to my Magic Jack. And the other thing that's neat about Magic Jack is there's an app. And so if I'm up at the cabin and someone dials my home phone, I can answer it on an iPhone or a tablet. And to be quite honest with you, if you call me and I got my tablet by my side, I just usually hit the answer button and I talk through my tablet rather than have to find the phone. Now, these are just some comparisons to give you, which some of it I'm going to talk a little bit more, but they're saying, and all these prices have gone up, I'm sure. YouTube, Hulu is $74, and traditional service is $109. Now, here's a little myth about gigabyte internet speed. I was happy with 50 megabytes per second, and then they raised it to 100. Unless you're a heavy duty user, meaning that maybe you have a large family and 5 of you are on at the same time, and somebody's playing games and somebody's watching a movie and somebody's working and downloading large data sets, you really don't need any more than 100. I think 100 is great. I've got, as you'll see from this thing, 27 connected devices, and I think there's probably even more because sometimes they go out and I don't bother to put them back on. And the one thing I did find when I switched from Verizon to Optimum was my modem was the thing that was slowing me down. I could get close to the 200 back then that I got from Verizon. I could get close to the 200, but if I walked too far away from it, it could drop down to the double digits. So I believe that my problem was that I really needed to upgrade my modem, which with Optimum, I had to pay for $10 a month because they now have an optical router. And that was another thing that wasn't mentioned in that $29 price. But as you can see, as some of the testing that I did, if you'll notice that I'm usually around the 300s. When you see 67 or 51, it could be because I'm testing it from outside or in the furthest part of my house. So a couple of ideas. Movies nowadays are, when you watch them, they're batched. And what that means is the movie is actually coming down a lot faster than you're watching it. And so especially if you stop for a second, they'll batch up sections of that movie. And then when you come back and put it on, it goes through it. So that's why there's sometimes when you watch these things, you'll see two lines. One's a gray line and then one's a blue line. And the gray line will be what they're sending down before it. So movies rarely ever get affected. If you if you have a router and you're having problems, a things you want to try is move it to a high central place in your house with a clear path. I have a fireplace that runs diagonally in my living room, and if I put something on the other side of that, it usually slows it down a lot, or in certain places I can't even use it. Now there's tests on so you can test your speed. There's all kinds of different tests just by and thing, but the thing you've got to remember about testing your speed is that the company is only, if you call them, they don't guarantee your Wi-Fi speed. They only guarantee your what's plugged into the back of your router. So if you've got your computer and it's plugged into the back of your router rather than wireless or Wi-Fi rather, that's the speed they're going to be testing. And the other option is at the bottom, if you do have a huge house, network extenders, which are nothing more than it picks up the signal and amplifies it, we usually work pretty good and give you a lot more extension. So these are just to show you what you're paying for these channels. This is why they have to charge for the different channels a certain price. This is what the revenue that they get from the subscriber as opposed to what they watch regularly. And what's also happening is everybody is increasing the price, and as we're going along, and that's another reason why it's getting more expensive. But I think a lot of us would just like to pick maybe 5 or 10 channels that we watch and pay for those rather than have to pay for all of them. And here's some of the comparisons of prices. Now, these are all either where you can watch like regular TV, CBS, NBC, and then all of them have like other channels that you can get, which I will go over very quickly. But it gives you some idea of the costs. And then the first line is the price. The second line is the rating. As you can see, the ones at the bottom, direct stream, for example, is through an antenna. And those are ones getting the lowest. You can have multiple streams, meaning you can have more than one TV working at the same time. And whether they add a cloud DVR. And again, what a cloud DVR is, a lot of these services offer a cloud DVR, so you don't have to watch it. You can record it on the DVR. But most of those, if you do record it, quite a few of them, you have to pay more not to look at commercials. Now, here's one device that's very simple. If you can't do any of those, but you got a phone or an iPad, you can buy this device and hook one end into the back of your TV and the other and another one into a USB for power, and the other one into your iPhone or your iPad or um, your other type of phone, and that will actually show it on your TV set. It's kind of inconvenient, but if you're going someplace where you maybe can't get any reception on the TV and you really want to watch something, it's a possibility. Now, if you are going to be cutting the cable, you're going to need streaming devices, and this is the most popular ones. And I've tried the Roku and the Amazon, the Fire Stick. This is a Fire Cube, and both of them worked excellent. They brought in what channels are being offered, and basically a lot of the stuff is free, but some of the stuff you have to pay for. They wrote the reason I like Amazon with Fire Stick is what it's called, is because it ties into a lot of the services that they offer that you can get through Amazon. And here's what the Fire Stick looks like. It's basically a remote. This the little thing above it is the stick that you put into the back of your TV, and then you get an electrical connector. You get batteries for the remote, and this little device next to the batteries is so that you don't really have to crawl behind your TV, or if your TV has a funny jack, that extends it to plug the thing in. And if you look at the remote, it's actually pretty neat. This is the newer volume, and at the top they've got you can actually say tell you don't have to go through all of the things. If you want to watch MSNBC, you just push the button and it'll get you to MSNBC. And I would say it's probably 80% accurate. I mean, some stuff you won't be able to find, but if you want to watch science fiction movies, it'll pull up some kind of menu with the science fiction movies. If you want to watch a movie, there's a pretty good chance that it can find it. If you want to watch ABC, you just say it into it. But then what's new on the new ones is these buttons that they added, which I think is really convenient. The little plus and minus button that you see in the middle, you can control the volume. And then there's a power button on the top that the older Fire Sticks don't have, which is pretty nice, because that way you don't have to look for your other remote if you're using this one. And then at the bottom, they have some of the more popular services, Netflix, etc. And then you can also, which wasn't previous mentioned, is you can get a TV that is a smart TV, meaning that you don't really need to even use one of these remotes or Fire Sticks or the Google things, although I think that's the best approach to take. You can just buy the smart TV, and that will offer a lot of the services through your remote for the TV. Another thing that I like about the Fire Stick is you get an app, and so I can control it from my iPad, and it does most of those features. Now, this will give you some idea if you get Amazon of some of the prices of the various services. You can just, what happens is you choose it through your Amazon Prime connection, and then they'll put it on your bill. And usually what happens is you try to get that service. It tells you to put in to go on your computer, and you put in a code, and then your code will allow your TV set to access that service. And I was surprised. I just had my device tell me, never mind. So anyhow, like this is one that I just picked up. I didn't know they had it, was MSNBC, which I told you my girlfriend likes. Now, here's something that if you just want to go with the antenna, you may want to consider. If I get my antenna working and it has several channels, I will probably get this. It's called Fire TV Recast. What that does is allow you to intermediate between your antenna and your TV set. And what it allows you to do is to record up to 75 hours of HD programs, two shows at once. And then you should be able to go through the, get through the commercials, fast forward through the commercials, because it's a separate device. I'm guessing my TiVo will also do that, but I haven't really checked into that yet. There's now YouTube is offering a TV service. It's not as strong as some of the other ones, but the nice thing about it is you get unlimited DVR, meaning that you can record as much as you want and it'll be up in the web. But I'm guessing what they do is they have one copy of a program and they just put pointers so that if you decide you want to record that, it points to that one copy that they have, and then that's how they distribute it. And I don't think I've told you this, but almost every TV service offers 1 or 2 months free just to try it. So you can go through a lot of free TV just by switching to different types of services that are offered. And the one thing that I like about if you do get YouTube is that you see on the bottom with the red arrow, if you're a YouTube premium member, you will, when you're going through your YouTubes, like we sometimes see when we're showing stuff, you got to watch a commercial. You will not get commercials if you have the premium service. So YouTube has nearly 4,000 free episodes, which isn't a whole lot compared to some of the other ones that's offered. And this is the type of menu that you get on a lot of them, where they show little pictures of the thing. Now I forget what somebody said, athletic, not good at sports, but supposedly this is the best, one of the better ones anyway, Fubo. And I don't know a lot about it because I don't really care, but even Fubo went through increasing their price from $60 to $65. It gives you the cloud DVR with 500 hours of DVR space, and that cost $65. Now you get discounts on a thing, and all of the premiums channels have some type of license. There we go. So Paramount Plus, which I got to try out, I got it for 3 months for $2, which is usually $9, and they take all the commercials out of that, and that includes I forget what Disney and not Disney. No, Disney's not included in that. But it also I forgot what I was going to say. Paramount $3. But they also have it for $1, but with commercials, and then it goes up after the 3-month trial period. And then I'm just going to go quickly over some of this stuff. There's Hulu you can get on the FX. You can download and watch offline. Due to streaming rights, many current networks show you'll be able to watch them the day after they air. On Hulu, what that means is a show that is on regular cable or antenna will show one day, and they'll have it on their Hulu connection on the next day. By the way, I got an offer, and I don't know how I got it, but I got it for 99 cents for a whole year. After that, it goes up to $68. So they're really trying to build up their usage. HBO Plus, that's where anything that's on HBO, Hbo Max rather, they're giving 2 months free with ads and ad free. You'll see the prices there, but for the year, so you get 2 months free. And again, they have all kinds of streaming. And what HBO Max does is they offer you one movie that's current every month that just comes out in the theaters. So, and again, you can watch it on any kind of device, game consoles, computers, TVs, and they all pretty much do that same thing. You're not restricted to the TV set. So if you're in bed and you can't sleep and you want to pick up your iPad, you can watch any of the stuff that's available on any of these services. This one I already explained. The other thing that I found myself doing is my patterns really changed on TV. Stuff that I thought I couldn't do without, I don't really miss at all. And what I do is I watch a lot of documentaries on Curiosity Stream. I think that's $20 a month, and they've got thousands of different documentaries rather, not documents. And then there's also the great courses, which I also enjoy. That's $10 a month. And it's no longer called Great Courses, it's called Wonderarium. And that they have, I'm guessing, tens of thousands of courses on everything you can think of, from cooking to physics to how to build an airplane, model building, radio stations, gardening. History is a really big one. Science is another big one. And I really enjoy that. Oops. Now, they're also free, almost like TV stations. They're kind of different. There's two different types. There's one that's called Pluto. That's free, and of course it's free, but with commercials. And what happens is you get like a guide that you can go through, and some of the stuff is all right, but and you can also choose news or reality or crime and punishment. And you have to watch, of course, what's on when it's on, and you will see all the commercials. But again, it's free, which is kind of nice. And then there's something like Tubi, which they basically offer. It's free, but they offer old movies, old TV programs, and that kind of stuff. So if you were into the talking horse, Mr. Ed, that's where you probably find all the. For those of you that are PBS, you can get their access for free, but they ask for from $5 to $30 if you want to help donate things. And if you are a member, you do get some benefits. Your membership never expires. You can print a program guide, member discounts to 80 museums, et cetera, et cetera. And then I explained the cloud. They all have the cloud options with available. And just as a side thick, Verizon, since Optimum is pulling their members away for free, they're offering the same thing, which I'm sure it's $10 cheaper for each category. And I'm sure it's only good for a year, and I'm sure it's going to go up after that. And they're offering little freebies with it. So this is just some statistics. These are old a little bit, about 6 months. 86 million houses subscribe to paid TV. 18 million houses are considering cutting. 56 million code cutters, nevers in the U.S., et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'd like to also throw in another device that I think is really a lifesaver. If you have more than one remote, and this is the thing to get. It's called the Sofa Baton, and there's two types of remotes, infrared and Bluetooth. It does both. You can do up to 15 devices, so it can be your amplifier, your DVD, your DVR, your TV. If you have infrared lights, you can even do the lights. And it's one device. It's programmed through your iPhone. You download or iPad, you download the app, and it sets up, and the setup is fairly easy. It knows 150,000 devices, so unless you got something that's really weird, it'll be on there. They also make the claim, as you'll see when you get the paperwork behind it, that if they don't have the device, they will get it to you within, I think it's a couple days. You can do you can hit one key and have it turn on your amplifier, your TV set, your DVR, all in one foul swoop, instead of having to go through it, because all of the buttons are also programmable. Now, I've tried almost every remote there is, and this one is the best. And what's nice about it is there's always that one key that when you download from the 150 that you just can't get to you want to add it. Like, I don't want to have to turn on my amplifier, or I don't want to adjust the sound on my DVR. I want to do it on the TV set. So you can actually put the old remote and face it to the face of the section that points at the TV, put them both together and hit a button on the remote and then follow the directions on the screen. And what it'll do is copy that one button so that you can get that one button that you need. And I have to tell you, out of all the customer supports, I think it was somebody in China, because they talk a little bit of broken English, but I was having a problem doing something, and I called him and he wasn't there, and it sounds like he worked out of his home, a single guy. He called me back, and boy, he walked me through whatever it was that I couldn't do, and got it going for me. And here's just some things which I'll send to Tom to distribute on some of the stuff that I was doing. So that's it. If there's any questions, let me just get out of here. Okay, I think I'm back. Any questions?
Well, that certainly was a lot of information that you poured on us. It was kind of like drinking out of a fire hose. I got a couple of good ideas, but I don't think I'm ready to go out and do what you do at this point.
Well, I have to admit it was not easy, and it's but for me it's a fun thing, because I go, oh, I didn't know I could do that, and I enjoy figuring things out.
But you probably spent a lot of time getting it set up so that it's the way you want it, or close to the way you want it.
Yeah, but you can talk to, maybe Walter can talk a little bit about it. He put the antenna up, and I'm guessing that he spent almost no time in putting up an antenna and doing it. Walter, are you on?
Yeah, you're muted, Walt.
Pardon?
You're muted. Now you're not.
I should be on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a couple of years ago, I looked into it, and there were like 3 websites that would tell you the RF strength and what stations you can get. And I sort of live up on a hill, so I got a clear view of the skyline, New Jersey skyline. I'm about 30 miles away, which was like the limit for good reception. And Consumer Reports had an article rating different antennas, and there was one that was like under 50 bucks. It's just a passive rectangle piece of cardboard with some kind of wiring inside that goes to a coax cable, and you put the coax cable to your TV. And of course, you have to put your TV in a setup mode, so it takes like 30 minutes to find all the channels. But I got, like 70 channels, and I get all the major stations, and most of the time the reception is pretty good. It's only with rainy weather sometimes, or because between me and here is Newark Airport. I've noticed sometimes when certain times of the day, I think the planes are coming in and out. It seems to affect it, but most of the time I get good reception. So now the only thing is with Optimum, I had 2 phone lines. I had the internet, and I had cable TV, and I decided to drop one of the phone lines. Well, the remaining phone line, they charged me $10 or $15 more. And when I dropped the TV, they upped the internet. So I used to pay 50 bucks for the internet. It went right up to like 80. So they basically want to have you pay at least $100 a month, no matter how many services or how few services you have. So so that's the only drawback. By cutting back on services from Optimum, they charge you more. for the remaining services. But I've been doing, it's been several years now. I've been on the simple antenna, and I have sort of a cathedral ceiling. I mount it up as high as possible. It's facing New York City, and it works.
Okay, we do have a couple of questions now. Linda, can you unmute?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just unmuted. Hi, I'm a guest, obviously. And I want to thank you for allowing me to sit in on this. I've been without cable services, and I guess you'd say I cut the cord for about 6 months. And the thing I miss most is local news. It was local, it was New York based when I lived in Summit. And now I'm in the Cleveland area, and I would like to be able to turn on news and not just get national or world news. I can do that through some of the simpler CBS or NBC apps, but I want to be able to turn on and get a local weather forecast and that kind of news. Do I have to get an antenna to get that?
About the antenna, I'm not sure what the question is, but I just found just today, and I didn't really get a chance to get into it. There was a website that somehow you put in your address and it allows you to connect to local news. I should have copied it down, but I didn't. So I would Google local news and your area, whatever it is, Cleveland, you said, or whatever.
Yeah.
And they might come up with a suggestion for local news. And the other, what was the other question? I'm sorry.
Well, that was it. How can I access local news?
So the antenna is like valid for things within 30 miles, I think you said. Is that true? So that if Cleveland is certainly more than 30 miles from New York. So there's
No, but I live.
Yeah, no.
I live in Cleveland now.
I know, I understand, but I mean, in Cleveland, your antenna, I don't think by itself could ever get to the local news in New York.
No, but I want to get Cleveland news.
No, and that's wrong. There's different. It's 30 miles is like the minimum of the cheapest antennas. They do usually go up to 80, but it depends on what's in the way most of the time. And supposedly, which I don't know if I believe, the one I got with the amplifier said 400 miles, but I doubt that.
So it's sort of like a trial and error, though, actually.
Yeah. So with an antenna, which by the way is pretty simple to do. I mean, doesn't take all you have to do is at one end hooks into your thing that the cable goes into, and the other end you can put it, if you have no obstruction, you can just tape it to the window that's close by, and it should give you pretty good reception.
Good, thank you.
Can I make a comment about Linda's question?
Sure.
And it's also a question to you, John. I just Googled Cleveland local news, and I found that you have a station there called Cleveland19.com, and it's a regular news station, and obviously has local news as well as the usual. So then the question is, once you find it as a website, and it's a real station, how do you sling that over to your streaming TV device, or even this? I mean, can you run a web browser if you do streaming and just get it through a web browser?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Yes, you can. And answer your question. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I do that all the time through either Roku or even on Amazon with a Fire Stick. You can do a web search, get a specific website, and I've been able to get a lot of different channels through that, and you just add it as a favorite and onto your screen, and then you just go to that in the future, click it, and it'll come up. So in general, you can go to. My understanding is you can go to websites in the web browser part of the application.
There you go, Linda. You got www.cleveland19.com, and I don't know if it's left-leaning, right-leaning, or actually neutral. Is there such a thing?
No.
Walter Cronkite is dead. So thank you, Paul.
Richard, you well,
Yeah.
chimed in, but you also had your hand up, so you're
Yeah.
next.
Just a comment. I mean, I had the decision to cut the cable made for me when our silly lawn crew here literally cut my cable that was not planted in the ground, and it, is outside my house. So I haven't told FiOS I should get it repaired, but it kind of forced me to go another route. So I have the Roku, I have the the Amazon, the Fire Stick. I also have an old TV that's hooked to a DVD player, which has a built-in digital receiver. So I can get probably 30 to 40 local Philly and Central Jersey stations from that. And then your presentation was very good to now have me investigate. Okay, I can start adding other channels that I don't really get because I lost my cable onto the Amazon Fire Stick, or even the Roku. Either one of those I can probably add some more stations on than I used to watch. So I have to really do a lot more work. And my issue, I guess, is, I got to decide, at this point, I still have the phone line, and I obviously, the internet line, fortunately, was fine. That didn't get cut. So I'm working pretty much off the internet, and I still have a landline. So I have to decide, to cut the landline at some point, because I called Verizon, and I have, the triple play. And I said, what if I take the cable TV off? They said, well, your cost is probably going to go down maybe $5 or $10 a month. They, as you said, John, they just always jack up the other prices. So it's not worth getting like 2 out of the 3 that's under the Verizon, the 3-pack, or what do they call it, triple play, because the price is not going to be that much different. So.
And you got to be careful when you're dealing with them, because they're there to sell. So they will actually, I wouldn't say outright lie, but they'll bend the truth when you ask them a question. So you got to be careful and how you specifically ask the question.
Right. But they were open to negotiation. At one point, my bill was just getting too high, and I'm going to probably call them again at this point and say, hey, I'm not happy. I'm going to think of switching. And then they brought it down a bit, and maybe 20 or 30 less than it was. But then it creeps up again over time. But,
right.
They don't want to lose you either. I mean, that's the worst thing for them. So you can, if you kind of call and say, I'm not happy with the amount I'm paying, it's gone up, this much in, 4 or 5 years, they have the authority to lower it somewhat.
George Cole.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Hi, John. I have
I
2 statements. I don't know if they're questions or not, but the first one is that the new technology, which it looks like everybody's going to, is the 5G home, where instead of having fiber to the house, you'll have 5G, and that'll plug into your cable modem and provide the service, either internet, TV, etc., etc. The other thing I wanted to ask about is the switching of services. In other words, you have Netflix and then going to Amazon Prime or some of the other channels to save money. Can you comment about that? And do you save really a lot?
Well, like I said, all of them offer usually a free service. Okay. Now, one of the things that I found out, since I have several email addresses, you can and some of them only use email addresses. You can actually log on again and get another free or cheaper offer just by using a different email address. Now, I don't know if that's true for all of them, because some of them get other information. So I like I said, I'm just starting at it, so I don't know if they're going to catch me doing this, but most of them, it's like HBO Plus, HBO Max has that $15 cost, and so it doesn't matter if you drop it and come back later and pay the $15 again. I don't think they really care. They just well, they do care, but they you're another customer if you come back on. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. The thing that I was thinking about was Netflix also has a big issue with their big loss in subscribers, and it's I forget when it was, maybe 2 months ago, they had a big article in the Wall Street Journal about people subscribing to streaming services and then unsubscribing. And that seems to be the big wave that causes people coming in and going out.
Right. Like I said, I plan to do it. I mean, what happens is you go through and you watch the, you know, they have thousands of them, but out of that 1,000, you might care about 50 of them. And so you watch those 50, and then, you know, you got to wait for something new to come out. Well, rather than sit there and pay $15 a month, I'll just drop them for 3 or 4 months and then get back on and see what's new.
Yeah, and the other thing they're doing to keep you hooked is they've gone, instead of giving you all of the episodes of a series, they now put one out each week.
Right. I mentioned that that's how they hook you. So my suggestion would be, if there's something you really want to watch, don't start watching it. Wait 3 months, and then you can watch them all in one fall swoop.
Thanks.
Are there any consulting services that set this all up for you? Because this is pretty complicated for those people that don't want to spend a lot of time trying to do it all themselves.
If there are, I haven't heard of them. There is a guy called the Antenna Man out of Pennsylvania. And so if you're thinking about getting an antenna, you can look him up, and he does an excellent review of every antenna that's out there. And he usually starts it with his favorite antenna, which he takes and shows you, and then he throws it up against the wall because he says it's junk. But as far as services, I don't know how anybody could possibly do this, because part of the problem is these things change. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
they
just
change,
when
and
you,
there's so many. That's what I mean.
and
It's
just when you think you
mind-blowing.
got it named, you find out, well, they're not doing that anymore, or they're on a different frequency or something. So it's not easy, but I actually enjoy it. It gives me something to do, and I have, instead of watching a TV program, I'll just play with what else can I get for free?
I mean, you're admirable in doing that, but sometimes it does consume a lot of time. That's all. Mitch.
Yeah, John, all you got to do is hire an 18-year-old and put yourself at their mercy for whatever their preferences are, and accept whether they say Fire Stick or Roku or whatever. But, you know, any 18-year-old could put all this stuff together in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that reminds me of that TV commercials when DVDs came out, and there's a 3-year-old, 4 or 5-year-old kid, and he goes, "Here, Grandpa, let me show you how to do it."
There was a
Unfortunately,
TV
it's
show.
becoming true.
There was a TV show a few years ago, and a high school kid was trying to teach Grandpa on his phone to double click, and Grandpa just could not double click. He went too slow, and the kid says, "No, you got to go double click." Did it? No. Grandpa couldn't
Well, we
do
also
that.
use the terms. I mean, double click in Apple is just using 2 fingers, you know, so that it gets, for someone who doesn't know that, it's not automatically transferable. You can say double click, and I have to translate. For me, that means, you know, touching the trackpad with 2 fingers at the same time. So the language is confusing as well. Anybody else want to add anything or ask a question?
Thanks,
Okay.
John.
My pleasure.
Yeah, John, you, I don't want to say that you made it easy, but you took a very complex topic and made it certainly understandable, but I have forgotten half of what you've said already. I will, if you send me the slides, I will send them out to everybody.
Okay, you it's not slides. You actually can go on
The website or whatever. You send me the
the,
link.
the website, but don't forget, you can also watch this over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You have to wait at least a day or so until we get it up on the YouTube channel, but yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I enjoyed
Thanks,
it.
John.
Thank you,
And,
John. We really appreciate you doing this and
Thanks,
giving
John.
us the update. And
Yeah.
I hope you have
Well-
time to
well
actually
done,
watch
John.
TV, John, you know, with all this going on. Hope you can at least watch TV with all the work you do.
okay, so I will end the session for today, and we'll get back together again next week after the regular meeting and talk about whatever issues we have. Thanks all for participating, and thank you, John, for doing all the work.